In the heart of the ancient world, a story unfolded, captivating humanity for millennia. It's a story of faith, obedience, and a promise between God and mankind. This is the story of Noah's Ark, a tale passed down through generations. We find this epic narrative within the pages of the Bible, a book revered by many. The story of Noah's Ark is not just a historical account, it's a powerful parable. It speaks to themes as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Join us as we delve into this remarkable story, exploring its historical context and symbolic meaning. Our journey will take us back to a time long ago, a time when the world was very different. We will meet Noah, a righteous man chosen by God for a monumental task to build an ark. We will witness the gathering of animals, two by two, seeking refuge from the impending deluge. The story of Noah's Ark has transcended time and culture. From Michelangelo's fresco to children's books, it permeates our consciousness. Told and retold for generations, each adding its own perspective. It speaks to our deepest fears and greatest hopes. The flood represents real threats we face. Yet Noah stands as a beacon of hope. The story is also about second chances. God promises never to destroy the earth with a flood. This covenant symbolizes mercy and forgiveness. It's a message of hope and redemption. The story shapes our understanding of the world. It invites us to reflect on our lives and our responsibility. The book of Genesis paints a vivid picture of the world before the flood, consumed by wickedness and corruption. Humanity, created in God's image, had strayed far from its intended path. The seeds of sin, sown in the Garden of Eden, had spread like a relentless weed. The earth had become a tapestry woven with threads of violence, greed, and depravity. The hearts of men and women had grown cold, their thoughts consumed by selfish desires. Every corner of creation groaned under the weight of humanity's transgressions. The air, once filled with nature's melodies, now echoed with human strife. The land, once fertile, bore witness to acts of cruelty and bloodshed. The very fabric of society was unraveling at the seams. The Bible describes this era with stark clarity, leaving no doubt about the pervasiveness of sin. The Lord saw how great man's wickedness had become, and that every inclination of his heart was only evil all the time. This verse encapsulates the depth of human depravity, a darkness penetrating every aspect of life. It was a time when the scales of justice tipped precariously, the weight of sin threatening to plunge creation into chaos. The consequences of this rampant wickedness were dire. God, who had created humanity out of love, was deeply grieved by what he saw. The divine heart, once filled with joy, ached with profound sorrow. Imagine a parent watching their child succumb to destructive choices, their bright light dimming. Such was the anguish that God experienced as he surveyed humanity. The weight of sin pressed heavily upon the world, casting a long shadow. It manifested in broken relationships where trust was shattered. It fueled acts of violence as neighbors turned against neighbors. It permeated humanity's thoughts and desires, turning them away from righteousness. The Bible describes God's response. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings, and his heart was deeply troubled. This verse reveals the depth of God's disappointment, born out of profound love for his creation. God's regret wasn't a sign of weakness, it reflected the depth of his love and the pain he felt. It was a time when the scales of justice tipped precariously, the weight of sin threatening to plunge creation into chaos. Amidst this bleak landscape of sin and despair, a glimmer of hope remained. While most of humanity had turned their backs on God, one man stood apart: Noah. Noah's life was a testament to the enduring power of faith. In a world where wickedness reigned, he remained steadfast in his devotion to God. He walked with God not out of blind obedience, but out of deep love. The Bible describes Noah as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time. This simple statement speaks volumes about Noah's character. He was not perfect, but he possessed unwavering integrity. In a world where the moral compass had gone haywire, Noah's life was a reminder that faith can never be extinguished. Noah found favor in the eyes of God, a beacon of righteousness in a world consumed by darkness. Imagine a world shrouded in darkness, the weight of human sin heavy in the air. In the midst of this moral decay, Noah lived a life pleasing to God. Then one day God spoke to Noah. Can you imagine the weight of such a moment? God decided to cleanse the earth with a great flood. But amidst the impending judgment, he offered a glimmer of hope. God chose Noah to be his instrument of salvation. The task before Noah was monumental, a responsibility that would have crushed a lesser man. Imagine the weight of knowing that the fate of all living creatures rested on your shoulders. Yet Noah persevered. He set about his task with unwavering determination. The ark began to take shape, a beacon of hope in a world spiraling towards destruction. Animals of all shapes and sizes converged upon the ark, their instincts telling them this was their only hope for survival. The ark wasn't just a marvel of engineering, it was a symbol of God's mercy and grace. In the midst of his judgment, God provided a way of escape, a sanctuary from the storm. The ark's very existence was a testament to God's love for his creation, a love that extended even to the animals. God's instructions to Noah were detailed and specific. He commanded Noah to build the ark with 3 decks, divided into rooms, to accommodate the vast array of creatures. He specified the dimensions of the ark, 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, ensuring that it was large enough to house all that was entrusted to Noah's care. The ark, in its meticulous design, speaks to the order and intentionality of God's plan. It wasn't a haphazardly constructed vessel thrown together in a panic. It was a carefully crafted sanctuary, a testament to God's foresight and his desire to preserve life. Each chamber, each carefully crafted detail served a purpose, ensuring the safety and well-being of its occupants throughout the long and perilous journey ahead. Why are there not more people talking about the incredible story of Noah's Ark? Years turned into decades, and the ark slowly rose from the ground. The rhythmic pounding of hammers, once a novelty, became a familiar soundtrack to life in Noah's small corner of the world. The ark, a testament to Noah's unwavering faith and obedience, stood in stark contrast to the wickedness that continued to permeate the world. Each plank of wood, each carefully crafted joint, was a silent rebuke to the scoffers and doubters who mocked Noah's warnings of the impending judgment. As the ark neared completion, a palpable tension settled over the land. The skies, once bright and clear, began to take on an ominous hue. Storm clouds gathered on the horizon, their dark underbellies hinting at the tempest to come. The air grew heavy with moisture, and the winds, once gentle breezes, began to whip themselves into a frenzy. Nature itself seemed to hold its breath, bracing for the deluge. The animals, too, seemed to sense the impending change. Birds, once content to soar high above the earth, flew closer to the ground, their calls taking on an anxious edge. Herds of animals, usually scattered across the plains, began to congregate, their instincts drawing them towards a common point, the ark, a beacon of hope amidst the growing darkness. Imagine the scene as animals from every corner of the earth converged upon the ark. Majestic lions walked alongside lumbering elephants, the air filled with a symphony of barks, roars, chirps, and trumpets. 2 by 2 they came, male and female, as God commanded Noah. The ark transformed into a vibrant tapestry of life. While Noah and his family toiled tirelessly, the world outside the ark continued in its downward spiral of wickedness. Despite the growing evidence of the impending judgment, the darkening skies, the restless animals, the very air thick with anticipation, many refused to heed Noah's warnings. They scoffed at his pronouncements of a coming flood, dismissing him as a fool or a madman. Imagine the taunts and jeers that Noah endured as he worked on the ark. His neighbours, their hearts hardened by sin, probably mocked his efforts, pointing to the clear skies as proof that he was delusional. They might have questioned his sanity, ridiculed his faith, and warned their children to stay away from the strange man who was building a boat in the middle of dry land. Yet amidst the mockery and disbelief, Noah remained steadfast. He refused to be swayed by the doubts of others, his faith in God's word an unyielding anchor in a sea of skepticism. He continued to preach righteousness, to warn of the coming judgment, and to invite all who would listen to seek refuge in the ark. But his words fell on deaf ears, their hearts hardened against the truth. As the last of the animals were guided into the ark, a sense of urgency filled the air. Noah and his family worked tirelessly to secure the ark's massive door. The sound of wooden beams sliding into place echoed across the landscape. Inside the ark, anticipation mixed with trepidation hung heavy in the air. As the last rays of sunlight faded, Noah and his family gathered in prayer. After decades of preparation, the day arrived. The sky unleashed a torrent of rain unlike anything the world had ever seen. The drizzle quickly intensified into a torrential downpour. Streams became raging rivers, their banks overflowing. Inside the ark, Noah and his family huddled together, listening to the storm rage outside. The ark, buffeted by wind and waves, began to creak and groan. The world outside the ark was transformed into a swirling vortex of water. 40 days and 40 nights. The Bible tells us that the rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, Genesis 7:12. 40, a number often associated with testing and transformation in the Bible. Inside the ark, time seemed to lose all meaning. The relentless rhythm of the storm, the creaking of the ark. Noah and his family established a routine amidst the chaos. They tended to the animals, ensuring they were fed and watered. They prayed together, seeking strength and guidance from God. Outside the ark, the world was unrecognizable. The floodwaters, relentless in their advance, had swallowed everything in their path. Mountains, once towering symbols of permanence, were reduced to islands in a vast churning sea. Cities, once bustling centres of human activity, lay silent beneath the waves. The world that Noah had known, the world that God had created, was gone, submerged beneath a watery abyss. The Bible describes the extent of the flood in stark terms. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. And all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered, Genesis 7:18-19. The imagery is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a testament to the sheer power of nature unleashed. Imagine the silence that must have descended upon the earth as the floodwaters reached their peak. The sounds of the storm, once deafening, would have been replaced by an eerie quiet, broken only by the gentle lapping of waves against the ark's wooden hull. The air, heavy with moisture and the scent of salt, would have carried with it a profound sense of loss, a reminder of the destruction that had consumed the world. For 150 days the ark drifted aimlessly upon the face of the deep, a lonely beacon of life in a world consumed by water. The floodwaters, having reached their peak, began to recede, but the journey was far from over. The earth, once familiar and welcoming, was now a foreign and hostile environment. Inside the ark, Noah and his family faced new challenges. The initial relief of surviving the flood gave way to the daunting realization that their ordeal was far from over. They were adrift in a watery abyss, with no land in sight, no certainty of what the future held. Their supplies, though carefully rationed, were dwindling. The animals, restless after months of confinement, grew impatient for release. Yet even in the face of such uncertainty, Noah's faith never wavered. He continued to pray, to seek guidance from God, to trust that just as he had brought them through the storm, he would also guide them to dry land. And so they waited, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation, as the ark, carried by the currents of fate, drifted slowly towards a new beginning. Days turned into weeks as the ark drifted upon the receding floodwaters. The world was now a vast, uncharted sea. The animals grew restless, sensing land was near. Then, one day, Noah heard waves crashing against the shore. The dove returned with an olive branch, a sign of life returning. The long journey was finally coming to an end. As the floodwaters receded, the ark rested on Mount Ararat, its peak piercing the clouds like a beacon of hope. The earth, washed clean, glistened under the sun. God commanded Noah to leave the ark, to step onto the transformed earth. Noah led his family and animals into a new world. God established a covenant symbolized by a rainbow, a sign of his unwavering faithfulness. The story of Noah's Ark resonates with humanity, offering comfort and hope for a brighter future. The story of Noah, his ark, and the Great Flood is more than just an ancient tale. It's a beacon across the ages. It speaks to our understanding of right and wrong and the power of faith. Noah, chosen by God, stands as a testament to obedience and perseverance. Imagine the weight he carried, ensuring the survival of all living creatures. He remained steadfast in his faith, trusting in God's promise. The Ark, a wooden sanctuary amidst the storm, symbolizes hope and redemption. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is always a glimmer of light. The rainbow, a symbol of God's covenant with Noah and all living creatures, is a reminder that even after the most devastating storms, there is always hope for a new beginning. But this covenant is not a one-way street. It's a call to action, a reminder that we have a responsibility to care for this planet and all its inhabitants. We have a responsibility to be good stewards of the environment. How can we apply the messages of faith, obedience, and hope to our lives today? If you found this video useful, please share your experiences in the comments below and subscribe to our channel. Also, don't go just yet though, watch the next video on your screen.